Hi friends, today I have brought you a Spanish movie called ApocalypseZ, which was released recently. Friends, it will help me a lot when the story begins. We see the main character, Manel, and his wife, Julia, in a car. Julia starts talking to Manel about having children, but Manel isn't very serious about it, and they begin to argue. During this, a car overtakes them dangerously, causing Julia to lose control. Somehow, she manages to stop the car in the middle of the road. But in the next moment, a high-speed truck comes from behind and crashes into their car. Julia dies in the accident. The story then jumps to a year later, where Manel is living alone in his house with his cat Luca. He is very depressed and lonely due to his wife's death. In the background, we can hear a news report on the TV about a dangerous virus spreading in foreign countries. Spain has also closed its borders. There is a lot of chaos, but Manel ignores the news. We see that infected people in the hospital are turning into zombies, like creatures due to this virus. Manel leaves his house and goes to the port, where he has a boat to sell to two women. While examining the boat, he finds a bracelet belonging to his wife, Julia, which he takes out. After showing the boat to the women, he heads to a crowded supermarket where people are frantically stocking up on groceries. Meanwhile, his sister Belin calls him, but he can't answer. When he returns home, he ties the bracelet around his cat Luca's neck, then calls his sister, Belin, whose husband is in the military, informs him that their family is being taken to the Canary Islands to be quarantined for a few days. She invites Manel to join them. After much persuasion, Manel agrees to go with them for a short time. He packs his belongings and leaves in the evening with his cat. During the drive, he hears on the news that a dangerous variant of the virus has emerged, spreading throughout the body in just 1-2 minutes and causing extreme violence in those infected. Manel heads to the airport, but suddenly all flights are canceled and riots break out. Belin calls again, telling him not to come. He's safer at home for now, and she'll update him when she knows more. On the road, Manel encounters traffic as people try to flee the city. Leaving his car with his cat and luggage, he walks back home. Upon arrival, he notices a strange tent set up at his neighbor's house, surrounded by the military. He learns that his neighbor has been infected and has become highly aggressive. The next day, Belin calls again, saying the government and military are moving people to a safe zone. However, the zone may not be secure, as any infected individuals could spread the virus to everyone there. She advises Manel to avoid going with the military, and he agrees. Videos of zombies are going viral on social media, and news outlets show zombies attacking humans in the streets. Some people are sharing survival tips online. Later that day, Manel returns to the supermarket. An injured police officer rushes in and locks himself inside, followed by a horde of zombies. A zombie attacks the officer, and Manel tries to help, but the zombie overpowers him. Just then, the police officer, now a zombie himself, is killed, and Manel escapes quietly. That evening, Manel secures his house to keep zombies out and turns off all the lights so the military thinks it's empty and moves on. 2 weeks pass. Manel's food supply dwindles, and he repeatedly messages his sister for guidance, but the network is down. After much thought, he dons a diving suit, arms himself, and searches his neighbor's house for food, but finds it empty. There, he encounters an elderly woman named Gabrielle, who couldn't evacuate with the military due to her wheelchair. Gabrielle tells Manel which houses may have food, having seen neighbors storing supplies. Manel gathers food from those houses and finds a bike, which helps him bring supplies back to Gabrielle's house. They share a meal, and he gives her a walkie-talkie to stay in contact. Days pass. One day, the radio announces that all remaining survivors in the city are to be evacuated to the Canary Islands, with survivors asked to gather at a specific location. The same place Manel's sister went to. Manel decides to go, but Gabrielle, reluctant due to her wheelchair, is finally convinced by Manel, who promises to help her. He prepares to leave and goes to fetch Gabrielle the next day, only to find she has peacefully passed away, leaving a message of gratitude for the last days they spent together. Manel leaves his house, but suddenly a powerful zombie attacks him. To save himself, he climbs on top of the car, but that 4-foot zombie pulls this 6-foot Manel out with one hand and bites him. However, he doesn't get hurt because of the suit. Now, Manel hangs that zombie against the car glass and finally shoots him. After returning home, he messages his sister that he is planning to leave, but still receives no reply. He then takes his bike and leaves with the cat, heading to the location where all the survivors are set to meet. After walking for many hours, he encounters multiple military barriers outside the city. So he starts walking through the jungle, but there are many zombies there that suddenly jump and attack him. Thanks to the bike, they can't catch him. Along the way, he spots an abandoned camp with several zombie hordes following him. He eventually reaches a road, but stumbles upon a pile of corpses, causing his bike to topple over. Now, the zombies are still pursuing him, and the bike won't start. So, he picks up his cat and starts running through the jungle, with the zombies close behind. While running, he reaches a port and locks the gate behind him. However, the zombies begin breaking the glass to get inside. Manel quickly moves ahead and closes the main iron gate. Looking around, he spots a boat nearby and manages to reach it by swimming. Unfortunately, the boat doesn't start, and there are also baby zombies on board. So, he takes his cat on a small raft and leaves. By evening, he sends more messages to his sister, but there's still no reply. Then he sees a light and another boat approaches. The people on this boat are from another country, and they take him aboard. They soon move to a larger boat, where Manel and the others are given food. Among these people is a man named Victor, who speaks Spanish. Victor tells Manel that the Canary Islands has strict security, and outsiders aren't allowed. Manel agrees to work with them to gain passage. He's assigned a room, but in the middle of the night, he sees some survivors trying to board the boat. The next morning, there's no sign of them, only their belongings. When he asks Victor, he claims there are no survivors on the boat, which Manel finds suspicious but doesn't press further. Later, Manel is brought to the captain's office and asked to identify important locations like hospitals and food factories, which he helps with. Afterward, he returns to talk to Victor, who reveals he's a pilot. Manel then mentions a helicopter he knows about and proposes escaping together. Victor doesn't respond, and Manel realizes something's wrong with the boat. He decides to free the survivors that night. Wearing his suit and carrying the cat in a bag, he heads to the basement where he finds 2 tied-up survivors, freeing one before a guard appears and shoots the other. As the guard is about to kill Manel, Victor intervenes, fighting and ultimately killing the guard. Victor tells Manel they need to escape. Along with the remaining survivors, they attempt to leave, but guards open fire, killing the survivors and injuring Victor. Manel and Victor manage to reach the shore and find a car, taking Victor to a hospital, the same hospital where Manel's wife was treated. There, they encounter a helicopter. As they enter the hospital, a zombie attacks, but Manel manages to fend it off. The noise attracts more zombies, but Manel manages to bring Victor inside. He leaves Victor inside. He leaves Victor and the cat in a room to search for medical supplies. Hearing voices from an upper floor, he follows the sound through a vent, but a zombie attacks. He shoots it with an arrow, but more zombies begin approaching. He runs back to Victor and the cat, but finds them gone. A woman named Lucia opens a door, guiding him to safety just as the zombies close in. Lucia introduces Manel to Cecilia and her 2 children. They also have Victor and the cat with them. Lucia, a nurse, treats Victor's wound. While talking to Lucia, Manel asks about the helicopter, which she shows him is behind the hospital, guarded by zombies. Manel begins planning an escape. The next day, on the roof, he receives several messages from his sister, making him happy, but he then hears gunfire. The ship's crew has arrived. Rushing down, Manel warns everyone to leave immediately. They make their way to the helicopter, carefully navigating past a fire. Just as they open the basement door, a zombie attacks Cecilia and bites her. Mano kills the zombie, but Cecilia is now infected, so they leave her behind. Manel takes a girl with him, hiding in a cupboard, while the others go a different route. Zombies begin breaking down the cupboard door, but the ship's crew arrives and shoots the zombies. The crew moves in another direction, allowing Manel and the girl to rejoin the others. The group sets up nets to shield themselves as they move through the zombies, who attack aggressively, but they fight their way to the helicopter. Victor and the children board first, while Manel and Lucia stay behind to hold off the zombies. After closing the gate, they get into the helicopter, but it doesn't start. Manel jumps down to fight the zombies, buying Victor time to start the engine. The sound attracts the ship's crew, who threaten to shoot them unless they disembark. Manel signals to Victor, then opens a second gate, allowing zombies to swarm the crew. Manel fights his way to the helicopter, and they manage to take off. Most importantly, the cat is safe. As they head towards Canary Island, Manel receives a call from his sister, who warns him not to come. Just then, they see 2 jets heading toward the island, indicating it too is under attack by zombies. The story ends here. See you in the next video. Bye.